Welcome back to It the Photographer, a tour of North Korea. My name is Joseph. I'm an American, and I had the rare opportunity to lead 10 trips into North Korea as a tour guide and company representative between 2011 and 2014. During those years, I built an archive of over 50,000 photos, and I'm excited to share some of them with you. In my first video, we explored Pyongyang from above, a bird's-eye view that highlighted its layout, key landmarks, and striking contrasts. Today, we'll leave that elevated perspective behind and step into the streets of the city. Together, we'll revisit some familiar sights, uncover new iconic locations, and begin to meet the people of Pyongyang, especially during the commemoration of Kim Il-sung's 100th birthday, celebrated in April 2012. This video offers a glimpse into the rhythms of daily life and the atmosphere of celebration during that momentous time. I aim to present the city as I experienced it, unsensationalized and grounded in the reality of my visits. Let us begin at the symbolic heart of Pyongyang, Kim Il-sung Square. Facing across the Taedong River, we see the commanding presence of the Juche Tower, a striking 170-meter monument topped with its iconic red flame, symbolizing the enduring philosophy of self-reliance. Flanking the tower are symmetrical buildings bearing the slogans, "Single-Hearted Unity," and "Ever-Victorious Workers' Party," emphasizing the state's ideological messaging. On this clear day, the riverbank below the tower reveals a vibrant snapshot of Pyongyang's civic life. The broad, tiered steps leading down to the Taedong River often serve as rehearsal grounds. Here, work units, school groups, and community organizations gather to prepare for grand state performances or parades. These organized activities highlight the collective spirit of North Korean society, where cultural expression is deeply intertwined with state ideology and celebration. The Juche Tower not only dominates the skyline but also serves as a unifying focal point, linking Pyongyang's monumental architecture to the shared rituals and rhythms of its people. Both physically and symbolically, it embodies the city's aspiration for cohesion under the guiding philosophy of Juche. The statues at the base of the Juche Tower reflect a recurring motif in North Korean iconography, closely linked to the monument to the party founding. Both monuments prominently feature the hammer, sickle, and writing brush, representing the unity of workers, farmers, and intellectuals, three pillars of the North Korean state. At the Juche Tower, the worker wields the hammer, the farmer holds the sickle, and the intellectual grips the writing brush. Each figure is sculpted in a dynamic, heroic pose, symbolizing the collective strength and essential contributions of these groups to the Juche ideology. Similarly, the monument to the party founding incorporates these symbols into its massive ring-like structure, emphasizing their connection to the Workers' Party of Korea and its revolutionary foundations. Juche, meaning self-reliance, is the guiding ideology of North Korea, introduced by Kim Il-sung. It emphasizes independence in political, economic, and military affairs, encouraging the nation to rely on its own resources and wisdom. Juche places the people at the center of the state and presents them as the masters of their destiny, although in practice, it serves to reinforce loyalty to the leadership and justify the state's centralized control. The parallels between these two monuments highlight their shared ideological purpose, projecting unity, strength, and self-reliance. The Juche Tower celebrates the ideology of self-reliance, while the monument to the party founding commemorates the political organization and leadership tasked with guiding the nation toward these ideals. Together, they form a cohesive narrative of North Korea's identity as a self-sufficient and ideologically unified state. Here, along the statue base, walls of marble plaques reflect a global campaign from the 1970s and early 1980s when various international organizations and study groups sought to align themselves with the ideology of Juche and the leadership of Kim Il-sung. These plaques commemorate contributions from groups in countries ranging from influential socialist states to smaller or developing nations, showcasing their solidarity with North Korea's socialist framework and ideals. The diversity of nations represented highlights North Korea's ambition to project itself as a global ideological leader during the Cold War. For Pyongyang, these plaques were more than symbolic, they were a form of soft power, emphasizing its role as a beacon of socialism and anti-imperialism to build legitimacy and influence on the global stage. Today, these preserved gestures from a bygone era underline the regime's reliance on historical legitimacy as a cornerstone of its narrative. While the plaques may seem insignificant to outsiders, they encapsulate an era when North Korea sought to align itself with a worldwide movement, amplifying its voice within the ideological battles of the 20th century. This focus on maintaining these symbols reflects a broader adherence to the past as a source of ideological and political continuity. Once inside the Juche Tower, visitors encounter two main attractions that highlight the intersection of ideology and practicality. For a small fee, typically a few euros, they can ride an elevator to the top of the 170-meter monument. From this vantage point, visitors are treated to sweeping panoramic views of Pyongyang, revealing its meticulously planned layout, iconic landmarks, and grand architectural symmetry, views which we explored in our last video. Alternatively, within the tower's interior, visitors can explore a modest selection of propaganda-themed souvenirs. These items include ideological artwork, commemorative stamp books celebrating significant events and figures, and publications of North Korean leaders' writings. Similar offerings are found in souvenir shops across the country, blending cultural promotion with economic opportunity. The Juche Tower exemplifies North Korea's strategy of aligning its ideological core with pragmatic initiatives. By charging for access to its observation deck and selling ideologically themed memorabilia, the state effectively uses this iconic site to reinforce its narrative while generating valuable hard currency from foreign tourists. Even at the symbolic heart of its identity, the fusion of principle and practicality remains evident. Before we leave this site, let us take a moment to explore photos taken around the base of the Juche Tower, offering glimpses of everyday life along the Taedong River that subtly echo the monument's core symbolism. In the first photo, a worker strides purposefully toward a nearby worksite, carrying shovels slung over his shoulder. His image evokes the hammer in the tower's statue, representing the industrial workers who are a pillar of Juche ideology and vital to the nation's narrative of self-reliance. In another series of photos, my North Korean tour guide counterpart, the ever-gracious Ms. Yu, is seen wielding a tourist camera, capturing group memories for our tour. Her role as a guide and photographer can be likened to the writing brush from the statue, symbolizing intellectual contributions to North Korea's ideological framework and cultural expression. We conclude our visit to the Juche Tower with a parting view of the Taedong River and the Changjan Street apartment district, a striking example of modern urban development whose significance we explored in my first video. These views remind us how monuments like the Juche Tower are deeply interwoven into the physical and symbolic fabric of Pyongyang. Let's cross over to the western bank of the Taedong River and into the heart of Pyongyang city. Although from here we would have used our tourist bus, residents of Pyongyang primarily use the subway or trolley buses for such a journey. Many of these trolley buses are old models locally produced or imported from Eastern Europe. Among them, some stand out for their decorations, rows of stars on the side, each representing 50,000 kilometers traveled without an accident. Counting the stars on this particular trolley bus, I see 38. That's an impressive 1.9 million kilometers of accident-free operation. To put it into perspective, that's about 5 round trips to the moon, an astonishing feat of durability and careful operation in challenging conditions. Before Kim Jong-il's death in 2011, North Korea's personality cult primarily revolved around Kim Il-sung, whose image was predominantly displayed across the country. At this location, for example, there was only a portrait of Kim Il-sung. However, following Kim Jong-il's death, the leadership swiftly expanded the personality cult to establish dual portraits and statues of both leaders, solidifying the continuity of their ideological narrative. This new perspective of Changjan Street, located just a short walk north of Kim Il-sung Square, offers a compelling glimpse into the intersection of North Korea's ideological messaging and its aspirations for modernity. The dual portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, framed by floral motifs, dominate the foreground. These portraits are more than decorative elements, they serve as symbols of the nation's history, ideology, and the reverence for its leadership. Such displays reinforce the omnipresence of leadership in public spaces, embedding the cult of personality into everyday life. Behind the portraits, the modern skyline of Changjiang Street reflects the regime's efforts to project a sense of progress and pride in its architectural achievements, aligning physical development with ideological symbolism. Let us delve further into the Kim family's personality cult by visiting a location approximately 1 kilometer to the north, the grand statues of the Mansu Hill Grand Monument. This site is one of North Korea's most iconic tributes to its leadership. Dominated by the towering statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, Mansu Hill reflects the regime's emphasis on leader veneration, with visitors, both locals and tourists, often expected to present flowers and bow in respect. During my first trip in 2011, Mansu Hill was closed to visitors due to ongoing maintenance on the Mount Picta mural, part of the Korean Revolution Museum that stands directly behind the monument. At the time, the hill featured only the solitary statue of Kim Il-sung, a reflection of the norms established during Kim Jong-il's leadership. By my second visit in April 2012, Kim Jong-il had passed away, and with remarkable speed, his statue was installed and unveiled during that time. Initially, the statue depicted Kim Jong-il wearing a long suit jacket. However, in a curious twist, his attire was later modified to show him in his signature winter anorak parka. The reasons behind this change remain unclear, adding an element of mystery to the narrative. By my subsequent visit in 2013, the altered version of the statue was in place. This transformation is a fascinating detail, and in this series of photos, I've included images of both versions of the statue. Did you happen to notice this subtle yet significant change? Flanking the statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on Mansu Hill are two grand sculptural ensembles, the Monument to Anti-Japanese Revolutionary Struggle and the Monument to Socialist Revolution and Socialist Construction. These flanking monuments not only frame the central figures but also extend the narrative of North Korea's historical and ideological journey. The Monument to Anti-Japanese Revolutionary Struggle celebrates the guerrilla resistance against Japanese colonial rule, portraying armed figures in dynamic poses, carrying weapons and banners. This symbolizes the origins of the nation's revolutionary history and the leadership's foundational role in its liberation. On the opposite side, the Monument to Socialist Revolution and Socialist Construction depicts workers, intellectuals, and farmers with tools and books in hand, representing the collective effort of the people in building a socialist society. The two monuments together create a narrative arc, linking the past struggles for independence to the ongoing mission of socialist development. Further in the distance, visitors can see the striking statue of the Cholima, the legendary winged horse of Korean folklore. The Cholima symbolizes speed, strength, and the drive for rapid progress, a recurring motif in North Korean propaganda to inspire industriousness and national unity. Its placement within sight of Mansu Hill ties the themes of revolutionary legacy and forward-looking determination into a cohesive visual and symbolic landscape. This view from Mansu Hill captures an evocative slice of Pyongyang's urban and natural elements, making it one of the most picturesque perspectives in the city. The statue of Cholima, the mythical winged horse, dominates the left side of the frame, its dynamic pose set against the lush greenery of the park's forestry. This verdant expanse provides a soft contrast to the urban landscape beyond. The pastel-colored apartment buildings in the background add a gentle charm to the composition, particularly the one featuring a large Mount Picta-themed sign, an homage to the spiritual and revolutionary symbol of the Korean peninsula. The scene is further enlivened by the pop of red from the iconic trolleybuses below, which, along with the winding roads and pathways, guide the viewer's eye through this tranquil yet vibrant depiction of Pyongyang life. This harmonious blend of monumental symbolism, urban development, and daily activity makes this view a personal favorite, encapsulating the city's unique character and its carefully crafted aesthetic balance. Here we see my favorite North Korean tour guide, Mansu, holding flowers for the ceremonious bow at Mansu Hill, a ritual deeply intertwined with North Korea's culture of reverence. For residents of Pyongyang, visiting Mansu Hill is at minimum an annual tradition, typically tied to moments of national importance, such as major holidays or personal milestones. Wedding parties frequently make their way here, with newlyweds paying respects to the statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il as part of their ceremonial journey, symbolizing their alignment with collective ideals. Similarly, workplace and military groups organize visits, reinforcing the state's emphasis on collective devotion and unity. For foreign visitors, participating in or observing these ceremonies offers a fascinating glimpse into a cultural practice, but also raises questions of personal ethics. Taking part in the rituals can build trust and goodwill with local guides, often leading to expanded access and unique experiences throughout the trip. However, this interaction also prompts reflection on the dynamics of respect, personal beliefs, and the broader implications of engaging with these charged symbols. As we look at a series of photos depicting visits to Mansu Hill, let's explore the deeper meanings of these ceremonies from the perspective of both residents and foreign travelers. Foreign visitors to Mansu Hill are asked to purchase and lay flowers during their visit to the statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. This gesture, while encouraged as a sign of respect, remains optional. In cases where no foreign visitors choose to lay flowers, the responsibility would fall to myself as the Western tour company representative and guide, to ensure that this aspect of the visit is carried out to maintain decorum and satisfy local expectations. Similarly, bowing to the statues is not a mandatory requirement for foreign visitors. However, if someone expresses discomfort with bowing, they would generally need to remain on the tour bus during the visit. Visitors to North Korea are not required to accept or believe the propaganda presented during their trip. The focus is instead on maintaining respectful behavior when engaging in cultural and educational experiences. Listening attentively, refraining from disruptive actions, and adhering to local etiquette are considered sufficient. This approach allows visitors to learn about North Korean perspectives without necessarily endorsing them, reflecting a broader understanding that cultural exchange is about observation and respect, not ideological agreement. By approaching the experience with openness and decorum, travelers can gain unique insights into the country while respecting its traditions and the efforts of their hosts. Visitors and North Korean guides navigate a complex moral and practical dynamic during tours, highlighting the unique challenges of tourism in the country. Adhering to local norms of respect and cooperation can lead to enhanced trust and access to more sites and experiences, as guides may feel comfortable allowing additional opportunities. Conversely, tour groups that are dismissive or abrasive towards expectations may face limitations, with sites mysteriously becoming unavailable or free time confined to the hotel. As a Western tour guide, fostering goodwill between visitors and hosts was essential for ensuring a positive and enriching trip. Balancing this dynamic required careful mediation and understanding of both the expectations of the North Korean hosts and the concerns of travelers. The interplay of respect, cooperation, and trust shapes the visitor experience in profound ways and raises moral questions about participation in such controlled tourism. This intricate subject deserves deeper exploration, perhaps in a dedicated video that delves into the ethics, challenges, and cultural nuances of guiding and participating in tours of North Korea. Let me present one last detail before we leave Mansu Hill. Notice the two women in the photo wiping away tears. This moment offers a poignant insight into North Korea's reverence for its leaders, especially Kim Il-sung. Despite Western media's extensive focus on the personality cult of the Kim family dynasty and speculation about the true feelings of the North Korean people toward their leaders and political system, there remains a deeply ingrained sense of affection and nostalgia for Kim Il-sung. This emotional connection is not solely the result of state-sanctioned loyalty but is also attested to by North Korean defectors. Many have reflected on the power of the regime's propaganda, noting the lasting influence of Kim Il-sung's image. Their testimonies suggest that the reverence for Kim Il-sung goes beyond political manipulation, resonating with a more complex, genuine affection shaped by personal and collective experience. The tears of these women are a testament to the enduring emotional impact Kim Il-sung has had on the hearts of many North Koreans, illustrating how deeply his legacy is woven into their lives. Let us conclude this journey by revisiting the momentous celebrations of the Day of the Sun, the national holiday commemorating Kim Il-sung's birthday. The year 2012 marked the centennial anniversary of Kim Il-sung's birth, an extraordinary milestone celebrated as the largest public gathering in recent North Korean history. This was my second trip to North Korea, and I had meticulously planned a custom, private 14-day group tour to coincide with the festivities. The occasion represented a peak of national pride, intertwined with a grand display of the ambitious propaganda under the emerging leadership of Kim Jong-un. It was an event I was eager to fully experience, offering both an opportunity to observe the orchestrated grandeur and to reflect on the atmosphere of a country at a pivotal moment in its history. Our group eagerly anticipated participating in the grand celebrations, with hopes of attending the military parade that typically accompanies such occasions. However, we were ultimately not granted access to the parade itself. Instead, as seen in the series of photos we will examine today, we found ourselves immersed in the vibrant atmosphere of Kim Il-sung Square and the surrounding streets. Here we see Kim Il-sung Square in full preparation for the birthday centennial celebrations. Decorations are being meticulously arranged to create a grand visual impact, and groups of locals can be seen seated, waiting for their turn in various rehearsals. This scene reflects the highly orchestrated nature of such events in North Korea, where every detail is carefully planned to ensure a flawless presentation. The square buzzes with activity, embodying both the national pride and the rigorous discipline characteristic of major state celebrations. Yet, such spectacles often provoke reflection on the state of the nation as a whole. What might be achieved if the immense resources and collective effort dedicated to crafting these grand displays were instead directed toward addressing the underlying challenges of the economy or improving the general welfare of the people? This question underscores the broader tension in North Korea between its projection of strength and unity and the lived realities of its citizens. On a nearby street, a chef is seen actively contributing to the setup of a decorative sign, demonstrating how preparations for the Day of the Sun extended far beyond government-organized events in prominent locations like Kim Il-sung Square. This moment illustrates how ordinary citizens, such as this chef, were mobilized to ensure that every corner of Pyongyang embodied the festive and celebratory atmosphere, reflecting a collective effort to honor the nation's most significant holiday. Amid the festivities, this photo highlights a moment of practicality in Pyongyang's daily life. Women are seen pushing a cart loaded with beer, reflecting the everyday efforts of locals amidst the grand celebrations. Nearby, a traffic officer diligently directs vehicles, ensuring the smooth flow of movement just a block away from the meticulously prepared Kim Il-sung Square. Also nearby, a vendor, as indicated by the small red letter sign, sells rakwasang, peanut cookies and confections. A long line of people waits patiently for this rare holiday treat. This simple yet vibrant scene reflects the communal joy and anticipation surrounding the Day of the Sun, as citizens partake in the festivities with small indulgences that add sweetness to the celebration. This image epitomizes the symbolic role of flowers in North Korean celebrations. The large arrangement likely honors the memory of Kim Il-sung and may be destined for the grand statues at Mansu Hill, contributing to public displays of loyalty and reverence. Here, a group of students march in disciplined formation, led by a flag bearer, exemplifying the patriotic values instilled in North Korean youth. While such displays are central to the Day of the Sun celebrations, they are also a common performance of unity throughout the year. Returning our attention to Kim Il-sung Square. That morning we were granted free time to mingle with the crowds. It was a special moment as one of our fellow travelers had brought a modern Polaroid camera, allowing us to take pictures and give them to groups of locals. The act of sharing these photos sparked warm smiles and genuine interactions. At times, we even became a sensation ourselves, with North Koreans gathering to take pictures of us using their own cell phones and cameras. Personal equipment like these had become far more common in Pyongyang since my first visit just the year before, highlighting the gradual changes in the country's technology landscape and the regime's shift toward providing new luxuries to the people. This marked a stark contrast to the more controlled and restricted environment that characterized earlier visits. Over subsequent trips, I witnessed these luxuries becoming even more commonplace in provinces more distant and remote from the capital. The increased access to personal technology reflected a growing openness and perhaps an effort to project a modernized image to the world. We continue to see the citizens of Pyongyang enjoying the holiday spirit in these photos. Many are holding plastic flowers, ready to wave them during the parades or as floats pass by. Some huddle with friends, likely sharing gossip, while others pass the time playing cards or reading books. Throughout this experience, our group was struck by the warmth and kindness of the people in these unscripted moments, which led us to question many of our preconceptions. As you view these photos, take a moment to notice the fashion and accessories. There's a visible pride of expression in the small details: brightly colored jackets, sequined scarves, fancy hair clips, and even knockoff Western branded hats. Such details offer a surprising glimpse into personal style and individuality, often overlooked in depictions of North Korea. For our group at the time, these observations were eye-opening. They challenged many of the preconceived notions we held about the rigidity and uniformity of life under the North Korean regime. Instead, we saw glimpses of creativity and a desire to stand out, even in subtle ways, revealing a shared humanity that transcends political boundaries. What do these details say to you? Do they also make you question your own assumptions? These everyday interactions, so full of life, offered a glimpse of the North Korean people beyond the formalities of state-driven events and propaganda. It became clear that beneath the surface, there existed genuine human connections and simple joys. By late afternoon, the long-anticipated military parade took place. At the time, regular tourist groups had not yet been granted the privilege of witnessing such events firsthand, though a few years later, some would be. For me, however, that opportunity never came. Where were we when the parade unfolded? Stuck in traffic, returning from a sightseeing excursion. The parade passed by just a few blocks ahead, close enough to feel its presence but too far to witness the details. Despite missing the spectacle, I had a unique experience, observing soldiers similarly stuck in traffic, waiting alongside us for several hours. These moments offered a rare and candid glimpse behind the polished exterior of North Korea's grand displays. The photos I discreetly took during this time were not without risk. These are the kind of images you would be asked to delete, and being caught taking too many could jeopardize a group's access to sites or events. Still, I managed to capture a few, and 2 of them were later published in a book about modern North Korea, offering an unvarnished look at these in-between moments that typically remain unseen. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the streets, squares, and celebrations of Pyongyang during the historic Day of the Sun in 2012. I truly appreciate your time and interest, especially for such a long video, and I hope these stories and images have offered a fresh and nuanced perspective on a rarely seen part of the world. This is just the beginning. In future videos, I plan to dive even deeper into specific themes, such as everyday life, architecture, and the unique intersections of tradition and modernity in North Korea. There's so much more to explore, and I'm excited to share it all with you. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, or sharing your thoughts. It means a lot and helps guide the direction of future content. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next exploration.